Okay, I'm going to talk about Gary Vaynerchuk today, and I think he's a really good influencer, and unlike some of the influencers we see online, he's actually got a business and he's very transparent about that. Now, a lot of people say, well, he inherited a multi-million-dollar business, and yes, he's expanded it a lot, but it's easier to expand from that kind of base than if you're starting at zero. That might be true, but I think he gives out a lot of really good advice. There's only one issue I have though with his advice, and that's this. He focuses on what he calls the hustle, in other words, more hard work. And there's nothing wrong with that. So what he says is something like, let's say you're starting with nothing, you know what, go out, buy something from a market for $2, go on, I don't know, Amazon online or eBay, whatever, sell it for $5 and so on. Now, as I said, there's nothing wrong with this, and a lot of people have made some decent money from doing it this way. However, I think there's two things that I don't 100% agree with. Now, number one is the idea that the hustle is the be all and end all. I have lost count of the number of people who work incredibly hard, who don't have a lot of money, and those people who don't put in the hours, but they found a way to make a lot of money. Now, of course, in an ideal world, you should work hard and work smart, because if you work hard for a number of years, it makes it easier to work smart because you can see what worked and what didn't work from your previous hard work. But the world we live in today, which is a digital and online world, means that somebody can actually do less work than you, but actually earn more than you. I mean, I'll give you a great example. If there's two people and there's one person who's cold calling all day, and there's another person who's focusing on analytics and doing different ads online, and they're getting their voice out there to millions of people, you can see why the person who's working hard to cold call is not going to make as much money as the person relying on technology, because the person who's relying on technology is getting his or her voice out there when they're sleeping. In the same way that Warren Buffett said you have to find a way to make money even when you're sleeping. If you use technology correctly, you can get your voice out there 24 hours a day, right? Because of ads and whatever. So I know he's not saying you shouldn't use these kind of online techniques or whatever, but I think just focusing on working hard and hustle is often a mistake. You have to focus just as much, if not more, on working smart. And another thing he talks about is patience. Now, in one sense, patience is great. I've talked about this for investing. If you are willing to be a long-term investor, of course, it's much better than being short-term. Being patient is great in a lot of situations. However, some of the most successful people I have met are some of the most impatient people for success that you could ever imagine. In other words, they want things to happen yesterday. They want things to happen now. They're always impatient for more and more and more. So I actually think being persistent is more important in business, at least. I'm not talking about investing, than being patient. Because if you're persistent and you never give up and you use the numbers game, you keep trying different techniques, I think it's actually more important than patience. A lot of patient people try what Einstein referred to as the definition of insanity. They try to do the same thing over and over again, expecting the same results. Whereas in reality, I actually think that being very persistent, whilst having some kind of system, like, for example, you might have to play the numbers game, many different ideas to make sure that one idea works, can be much more important than just being patient. Patience is good if the general strategy is right. So if you're going in the right direction, but you're, for example, doing a loss leading product, then of course patience is great in that situation. But patience is the worst thing in the world if you're holding on to an idea that you know is not correct. So I think his advice in general is very good, but I think these two ideas about focusing on patience as opposed to persistence and also the hustle are potentially things you shouldn't really listen to.